What is up, everybody? Haven't been on here in forever. We're going to give it a quick try tonight, see how this goes. Hopefully everything's working. You guys let me know in the comments if everything's working or if anything's not working. It's been like a month since I've been on here. I got my background back. Hopefully you guys can see the background pretty well. We're doing spooky stories tonight. We're going to live, laugh, lurk. My bird is screaming in the background. Sorry about that. Guest box is open if anybody wants to come up. And let me just check my settings here. If you want to come up and share a ghost story, should be able to. And tap the screen, send some likes, get into the TikTok atmosphere. Get some people in here. The more people we have, the more stories we get. Can somebody say something in the comments just so I know that it's working? Oh boy. Thank you all for the likes. Keep tapping, everybody. Yes, thank you, Bad Granola. So, do we have any OG ghost story people here tonight? Were any of you guys here when I was doing these throughout December? The Christmas horror stories? Let's see if we do have a guest, but I'll tell you what, I'm always a little bit leery about the very first person who requests to come up and tell a ghost story, because every single time if somebody comes up too quick, it's a troll. So, I'm going to let you hang out there for just a minute, turkey sandwich. You guys tap the screen, send some likes, we get some people in here, have some crazy ghost stories. You're not crazy? Alright, I'll let you in. But you better not be weird. Do any weird shit.
Weird.
Do what?
I said I promise I won't do anything weird.
Alrighty. You got a
Oh.
ghost story?
Yeah, no, I was just going to tell you about back when I was in middle school to high school. I don't know if you ever played with a Ouija board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that back in the day, and so I live in the middle of nowhere, really, and I used to live when I lived with my parents off of this kind of main road. It's called Denver Street,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking on the Ouija board and this, and that, and the other, and I forgot the name. It kind of spelled out a name. I forgot the name that it spelled out, but like it was kind of a reoccurring type thing. We like every day we would ask like, "What's your name?" And it would do this reoccurring name, and I forgot that reoccurring name. But at some point we got to where we were like, "Where are you from?" And it spelled out our town's name, and we were like, "Oh wow, whatever." And we're like, "What street did you live on?" And it spelled out Denver. And Denver Street is the main street that goes through our town. And we asked for the address, and it gave us some numbers and stuff. And we looked it up, and we were like, "Where can we find you?" And it spelled out basement. And we're like, "What the hell?" And we looked at that address, and then kind of walked to it one day. And literally the only thing standing from this house was a basement. Like it was pretty much a vacant lot. And the only thing standing was still the basement. And you could go down in the basement, and there was like cans and stuff hanging up on the shelf and stuff. But that was the craziest shit that I saw. That was all I wanted to say.
Wow, that's a pretty good one. Pretty
Yeah.
good story.
It was
I've
pretty
never
cool.
had any luck with Ouija boards myself. I've tried it and nothing happened, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I was never into that stuff. My buddies got me into it, but we got real into it where we were doing it like every day. And there was one time where uh, so we always had a place where we did the Ouija board stuff in my buddy's room. And then one day we went to my buddy's garage where his parents weren't home, and we kind of made like a makeshift Ouija board type thing. And
Mm-hmm.
we used a shot glass as the little, what do you call the thing where you put your fingers on it?
The planchette.
Yeah, that little thing. Well, we went the first time in my buddy's garage. We went there and tried to make contact with the same person, and that little dude started going in circles. Like it wouldn't spell out anything; it would just go in circles, and we are like, "What the fuck?" You know? We started making jokes about it. Well, it started going in circles one time, and then that fucking shot glass shot across the room and broke on the wall, like
Wow.
the little brick wall that was in that garage. And we were like, "All right, that's it." But yeah,
That's pretty
that
crazy.
yep, that's about my extent to any type of crazy stuff. That's all I came up to
Well,
say.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yep. Y'all have a good night.
You too. And thank you. I think it was Allie. Thank you, Allie, for sending the little red heart thingamabob. Um, let's see. Very cool. Well, we got a good story. First crack off the bat. And here I was thinking, like, I know about these people that joined too quick. Turkey sandwich turned out to be a good one. Guest box is open if anybody wants to come up and share a ghost story. I am in the mood to hear the scariest stories ever. So you guys come up and tell us. It doesn't have to be about ghosts. It could be about anything spooky, anything weird, anything unexplainable. Um, oh, you live in Lexington? Cool. I also live in Lexington. I wonder sometimes if I should not tell people that I live in Lexington, but I don't really care. I mean, like, I know some people are pretty guarded about that type of thing, but I don't. It doesn't bother me to tell you guys. Like, I live in Lexington. It's a big place. Everybody tap the screen. The more hearts, the more people, and the more people, the more ghost stories. We get a lot of people in here. It gets pretty crazy. I don't know if any of you are new or if you all were here for some of the old live streams where we'd have guests up, but it gets pretty wild. So comment, share, interact with the live, whatever you can do, and it'll help boost us to where we get some people in here. Yeah, exactly. Too big of a tail. I mean, and I don't like. What is anybody gonna do? Like, kidnap me? I don't know. Oh, that would be hilarious. You would bring me back if you did. So I don't. I bet I'm not allowed to say the that word on TikTok. I probably just got for saying. I'm always so paranoid. Like, what can I say? What can I not say? What shouldn't I say? I don't know. Guest box is open, everybody. If you got a paranormal story or just a generally unexplained, inexplicable, mysterious story, feel free to come up and share it. I'd love to hear some more Ouija board stories. I'm so envious of people who have good Ouija board experiences because I mean I had that one experience, me and my friend when I was a kid, and but I don't know that that was paranormal. I don't think it was. And then I've tried to make a Ouija board, like a homemade one before, and use it, and nothing really happened. I've always wanted like a really old handmade spirit board or talking board, though. Wouldn't that be so cool to have like an actual handcrafted board? Um, I've thought about before, like we've joked about it on the live stream about like I'll get a Ouija board and come on here and like we'll live stream talk to some entities on the Ouija board, but I don't know. I don't think they'll talk to me, unfortunately. Yeah. Um, Yeah, that was funny. Oh, that's really cool. A spirit slab handmade. That's really cool. I would like to see that. Do you like I think you've come up before and talked, haven't you? If you, I don't know, like if you have it handy, I would like to see it, or like maybe I don't know, DM me or something, or email me. Um, I would just, I don't know, I'd like to see it. I'm curious. I'm nosy. That's all. Hello, hello. Out. Is it outrun or outrun? I'm trying to use my front facing camera because I couldn't get my background to work on my, like, I've got one of those fold phones that opens up and nothing is working on TikTok right now. So the text is like way down at the bottom and it's very small, and I am old and my eyes don't work as well as they used to. Yeah, yeah, you did. I remember that. That was a cool story. I thought about that for days. I was like, gosh, that's so weird. Have you had any strange experiences after that? Anything recent? Oh, Berea, cool. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. That makes me very happy. Had to update the app. Yeah, I'm all up to date on stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, something, I guess where they're doing updates on the TikTok end, things have been kind of crazy. So everything is a glitchy mess on TikTok right now. I'm honestly surprised that my background's working and stuff. Oh, Moorhead, cool. I used to live in Moorhead. Have you ever heard the story? There's an urban legend that there is a serial unaliver in Moorhead. That he goes like underground for years at a time and doesn't do anything, and then like every so often, like every so many years or something, he comes out and you know does something terrible. I heard that a long time ago. I forget where I heard it, but somebody online I think was talking about it, and I was like, "That's not true," because I lived in Moorhead for years, and if anybody was going to get serial unalivered, it would be me. And I'm fine. I'm fine. I survived living in Moorhead for many years. Western Kentucky, cool. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people say they have heard it. I remember when I first heard about it, I asked on Facebook and I was like, has anybody from around Moorhead ever heard this? Because, like, this is the weirdest thing because I just don't believe it. And a lot of people have heard that there supposedly is one. It's like, well, I don't think it makes sense, but some people swear that there is. Sandy Hook, that's where I'm from. That's my hometown, Sandy Hook, Kentucky. I know, William. I hate having to speak in code on here, but I don't know what I should and shouldn't say. Um, yeah, yeah, a lot of them do have to do with like MSU and stuff. I've always found MSU to be the least spooky of all of the old Kentucky colleges. Like there are so many others that are just like super spooky, and they all have ghost stories like with the dorms and stuff like that. And Johnson County, cool. I know where that is. We should definitely do some type of group. You mean like a ghost hunting team? I've been trying to put a ghost hunting team together for like a year or more, 2 years now, actually. And I found some people, but it's hard to find places to investigate. Seems like nobody these days is really in the mood to have ghost hunters come in their house and snoop around. So, Pike County, Mount Sterling. Mount Sterling, I actually just did the Barilla video. What happened in Indiana? Sorry, I'm like cycling through so many thoughts. It's hard to remember. I know there's a delay. But yeah, I just did the Barilla video, and that was like a Mount Sterling story. I do know a lot of weird stories about Mount Sterling, but I tend to not really talk about them much for several reasons. uh, do you know about the mounds? Like the mound, there's a bunch of them. There's a lot of, wow, earbud. There's a lot of crazy stories to do with the mounds in Mount Sterling. Actually, in my late teens, I stayed with some friends, kind of halfway part time lived in Mount Sterling, and I had a ton of paranormal experiences there. You got weird stuff happening at your place? Do you want to? The guest box is open if anybody wants to come up and share a spooky story. You can come up and tell me what's happening at your house. Tell me your ghostly experiences. Um, Kentucky horror author. Yeah, I am also a horror author, actually. Um, Somebody asked me earlier somewhere, and then I couldn't find the comment. It's something about like compiling a book of all the crazy stories, like the stuff that I talk about here. And like, no, that's I just write fiction. I don't. I don't want to do that, but I didn't get to respond because I don't know if they deleted their comment or what. Um, Red River Gorge. Yeah, I've run across quite a few stories. No, I didn't. I didn't go to MSU actually. Links to I'm gonna try to have something out this year. Um, right now, I have shorts published, like just traditionally published, but I don't have anything compiled myself. So I don't have anything to plug right now, unfortunately. But hopefully I will. I will in the future. Very soon, I hope. Um, Old hospital on College Hill in West Virginia. Yeah, I'd say it is. West Virginia is a really spooky place. I'm starting to expand my stories to other parts of Appalachia, and I'm gonna be doing quite a few West Virginia stories probably coming up really soon. People wouldn't believe a lot of your life stories. I know how you feel. Same thing for me. That's I try not to even like tell my own ghost stories anymore because some of them are too crazy. um, Talking about personal happenings makes stuff start happening. It does. I think it does. Because it just gets your mind kind of back on track with whatever activity you were experiencing before. Mulberry Black thing. I have been wanting so bad to make a video about that. I think it's a Bigfoot. I think like that's kind of what it sounds like to me is some type of cryptid like Bigfoot type creature. But unfortunately, with that particular cryptid, there's not a whole lot of information out there. There aren't a lot of witnesses, not that I can find. So there's not a whole lot of places to gather stories or sightings, stuff like that. If anybody has seen the mulberry black thing, though, feel free to message me or come up in the box right now and tell me about it. Yeah, someone tell a story. I love your username, by the way. guest box is open, everybody. So if you have a weird story, feel free to come up. Hello from Breathitt County. Cool. It's interesting. I feel like a lot of my Kentucky audience is here tonight. And it was so weird for the longest time, like all the way through December when we were doing like Christmas ghost stories. I'd be like, "You guys are all from Kentucky, right?" And they'd all be like, "No, we're from all over the place." Like, that's so weird. Like, you know, thought most of my audience was Kentuckians. Western Kentucky. Cool, cool. Bardstown. Bardstown is a cool place for the paranormal and for historical stuff, spooky stuff. Oh, interesting. So kind of like a doppelganger, sort of. You're from Indiana. Everybody tap the screen, send some hearts. Hopefully, we'll get some people in here soon to tell us some spooky stories. I'm still waiting on some really good UFO and alien stories. We don't tend to get too many of those, oddly enough. I'm not sure why. Maybe the aliens are not bothering people anymore. Maybe that's kind of like a 90s thing. They quit in the 90s. They're like, yeah, this is good. We've bothered them enough. Let's just move on with our lives now. Go back to space. Met Tom Petty. Interesting. Yeah, I actually have a video on the Hopkinsville. Some people call it the Hopkinsville Goblin, the Kelly Green Men. There's so many different names, variations in the name of the case. But yeah, that is one of my favorite cases, actually. Talbot Tavern. Yeah. Yeah, and the aliens. They're probably like, let's move on to a different planet. We've seen enough of this one. Let's go someplace else. Yeah, exactly. I saw a meme one time that said that, like, to aliens, Earth is the Florida of the galaxy, the universe, or whatever. Probably the universe. Like the whole universe. um, the Florida man. Do you have a Mothman story? I don't have a Mothman story. My aunts, I had a couple of aunts who were twins, completely irrelevant to the story, but I always thought it was cool. I had a couple of aunts lived up there in that area when the Silver Bridge collapsed. Was it Silver? Yeah, it was a Silver Bridge, is what it was called. So they would have had cool stories about it. Unfortunately, I never got to hear their stories about the Mothman. They got old and passed away. I would also like to hear a Mothman story. I know somebody who said one time that they had some type of cryptid encounter back in like the 90s, the early 90s around Carter County. I don't know if it was in Grayson proper, but it was somewhere in Carter County. But there was like a winged creature in a tree. And then somehow, in a roundabout way, it turned out that it was an albatross, an actual albatross. And at that point, I was just thinking, it's almost more believable that it's just Mothman. Because how the hell did an albatross get to Grayson or Carter County, Kentucky? It just seems like it would make more sense if it was Mothman himself, you know? Make sure I'm keeping an eye on the guest box because sometimes it will alert me and then the alert will disappear, and then I won't see it. So make sure that I don't miss anybody. Guest box is open if you are swiping through. Quit lurking on the FYP page. Come on in here. Tell us a ghost story. Doesn't have to be about ghosts. Just anything spooky. Anything spooky. Anything that you found terrifying. We want to hear it. There's a story that I have, and I don't remember if I've told this on a live stream. I'm kind of bad for telling stories on here and then like not remembering which one I told. And also, I'll say in a video, I'll be like, I'm going to tell this story, and then I tell it on here, but I don't make a video about it. And people are like, why didn't you make a video? Like, I told the story, I told it on a live. Exclusive stories. Anyway, there's a spooky story that I have from Ashland, Kentucky, and well, also like Portsmouth, Kentucky, or Portsmouth, Ohio, Greenup, Kentucky, like that whole area up and down the river from the 80s. And I can't find anything about this online. It's super strange that there's no record of this online because I remember it happening. But there was an escaped unaliver, allegedly. I don't know if he actually, did anything, but allegedly that's what he was. He was on the run around Ashland, Greenup, Portsmouth, and there were sightings of him all over the place for like, I don't know, 6 months or a year, something like that. It was a long time. And I have searched and searched for information on this guy because it was such a big deal in Ashland in the 80s, but there's nothing online about it. But we saw him one time when I was a kid. We had a run-in with him. It was in the middle of the night, and he was creeping around in one of my aunt's backyards. I had an aunt who lived in Portsmouth, just right across the bridge from Kentucky. And we were leaving her house one night, and we got out into the car, and when she turned the headlights on, he was in front of the car. And I still to this day, I remember like the look of what I saw out the windshield. It was terrifying. It was so scary. Sorry, a cat's shredding the carpet. But he was just right in front of the car. Just like, I don't know if he was trying to sneak out of the yard or if he was sneaking into the yard, but when she turned the lights on, he was in front of the car. And I remember like looking through the windshield, and he's just standing there like a deer in headlights, literally almost. And then he ran away, and we were terrified. We drove away. But it's so weird that there's nothing online about this guy. The gates of hell. Yeah, I would like to go there, but unfortunately, I never get out and go like search for things and look at places in person a whole lot these days. Hopefully in the spring, like I feel like maybe I'll be able to start spending a little bit more time in the field, Most haunted place I've ever been to, probably just off the top of my head without overthinking it, I would have to say this one house that we did an investigation at in Beckley, West Virginia. I feel like that was probably the most haunted place I've ever been, I think. Yeah, from Kentucky. Saw a tree catch on fire. Oh no, it was a burning bush. No, for real though, was it like hit by lightning or something? Is that what happened? Dad, there's a thing. Was it Bigfoot? Or not Bigfoot, Mothman? Bigfoot can fly too, apparently, in my mind. Southern West Virginia. Cool. Guest box is open, everybody. If you all want to come up and share your spooky stories, jump in the guest box. And if you don't know how, it should be the little pink and blue person. There's like two little people down at the bottom of the screen somewhere. Huh. Never saw any lightning. Yeah, the black triangle. That is what is it called? The B2? I don't want to say the other half of the name. TikTok, you know. Yep. Yep. The B2. You know, it's funny because that particular aircraft used to be a conspiracy theory. There used to be all sorts of debates about whether or not black triangle existed, and now it comes right out in broad daylight and flies around like, haha, look at me, here I am. I think, I don't know, there's just something hilarious about that. People used to argue about, you know, whether or not it was a UFO, and it was top secret for a long time, and now we see it. You can find videos of it here on TikTok. It's a spooky aircraft, though, I'll tell you. Like, it's I don't know, it just makes you wonder, like, what did they reverse engineer to come up with an idea like that? It's so unique. I mean, I'm sure they probably could have just come up with it by themselves, but without taking apart an alien aircraft for ideas and inspiration. Oh, did you saw it? That's cool. I've never actually got to see it. I mean, I've seen videos of it now, but I know a lot of people who, like in the 80s, claimed to see the Black Triangle. The same noise from the Jetsons. God, I haven't watched the Jetsons since I don't even remember. I don't think I like that show too much, so I don't really remember much about it. Yeah, one thing that I've noticed with strange aircraft is a lot of times the sound is the weirdest part of the sighting. It's pretty neat. I'm a big fan of aviation stuff, you know, like I like planes and just, you know, various aircraft. I don't know much about it. Because I don't go out of my way to like learn about it, but I live really close to the airport, and so planes fly straight over top of my house, and it's amazing. It is so cool. Sometimes I could just sit out there for hours and watch them just fly over top. And then especially if you get like that, what's that app called? Flight Radar or something like that. You get it on your phone, and you can see, like, you can select whichever plane, and it'll tell you what it is and where it's coming from, where it's going. Obviously, I know where they're going, but you know, it tells you where they're coming from. So that's kind of cool to see. But yeah, I would love to go to an aviation museum. I think I've seen like one place that had a couple. I mean, it was an aviation museum. It was just like, I don't know. They just had a couple of old aircraft sitting around that you could look at. It was a long time ago, though. I don't remember where it was. Somewhere in southeastern Kentucky, maybe. They had tanks too. Hello there, Tanya. I wonder if I'm on too early, because one thing I noticed when I was doing these streams back in December is that if I got on too early, we wouldn't get a lot of ghost stories. But if I got on a little bit later, we would have like hundreds of people in here, and everybody had a ghost story. So maybe in the next little bit, it'll start getting spicy, you know, start getting some people in here. Oh, that's cool. Silver ball. I've heard a lot of UFO reports that involve like spheres, lots of them. Actually, I have some books on UFO sightings from like the 70s and 80s and stuff, and they were pretty common back then. And then I saw something. I was out taking pictures one night. Well, I guess I should back up. I had got a new camera and I was outside at night because it was like a really nice night out, and I was out taking pictures, like just nighttime pictures. And there was a thing went over that I didn't think much about in the beginning. I just didn't like, maybe it's a plane, whatever. I didn't think too much about it, but it was like, I think it was circular. I don't know if it was a sphere or if it was like a tic tac. Because, like I said, I wasn't initially paying any attention to it. And it was like when it made 3 trips past, is when I was like, did that just go over? Then I kind of started paying attention to it. But I ended up getting a picture of it, and it's the worst picture ever. Oh my God, because I had my settings on my camera to where it would slowly expose, pictures of things in the dark. So you have to do kind of like a slow exposure to get, a good capture when there's not much light out. So I ended up with this big, weird gold streak through the sky. And it's weird because in person, this thing did look gold from a distance. So it was like a gold circular object, and it made several trips through the air over a period of maybe like 20 or 30 minutes. Um, Weird, super weird. iPhone works great at night. So does my Canon. I don't like cell phone camera technology. I really love cameras. I'm kind of like a big camera geek or nerd, I guess you could say. Kind of a, you know. Hang on, my cats are eating my iPhone, not iPhone, my iPad charger. Stop it, Bean. Be a good boy. Be good. You can't eat mommy's cords. Come here. I'm gonna show Bean off. Bean always likes to make an appearance on live streams, so here he is. He's a chunky boy, no doubt about that. Um, Nice and smooth and silky, and he is looking for. I love how he's so fat when he jumps off of things. He goes, eh! It's like it forces a squeak out of him. I don't know. And now that I've laughed, my earbuds are coming out. Guys, the guest box is open. Somebody come tell us a ghost story, or an alien story, or a Bigfoot story, or a Loch Ness monster. We're still waiting for a good Loch Ness monster story here. Oh, we got a person. Yes. Hello, hello.
This is my first time catching it. I'm so glad I got you. Someone recommended you from a different live that's like the same thing, basically like telling scary stories. So I've been
Uh
following you
huh.
for weeks. This is the first time I caught you.
Yeah, I was on here a lot throughout December, and then I had some glitches and some technical difficulties, and I didn't get to do much throughout January. But I'm back, hopefully, for a little while at least.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I'm following you. I hope to see you again. But anyways, let me tell you my story. So, it was literally the day before my 10th birthday. My brother and I got sent to Guam for the summer. We had never been there before. I haven't been there since, to be honest. But my mom is from Guam. My
Mhm.
grandma's from there, and so we have like this huge extended family on the island. So we go over there and we go to this house. And when I walk into the house, there's these 3 women and a little girl who's like a little bit younger than me, or maybe a year or two younger than me. And so the first lady is my Aunt Jane. She's the one who owns the house. The second one's my Aunt Erica. She also lives there. The third lady is the eldest, and she's just kind of sitting in a armchair in the living room. And then the girl is, I guess, our cousin. Her name is Jenny. So the first aunt, Aunt Jane, she's the one who owns the house. She has to go to work, but she just wanted to welcome us to the island because, like, we've never been there. So she leaves. And then the second aunt, Aunt Erica's like, oh, I'm just gonna clean my room, but you guys should play with your cousin Jenny and like, just welcome to the island, get to know your family, get to know everyone, blah blah blah. So she goes to clean the room. At that age, I was pretty shy, so I just wanted to hang out with the oldest aunt in the living room because she reminded me of my grandma, and I like to just hang out with my grandma and draw her pictures of animals. So I asked the cousin Jenny, I was like, "Do you have like paper and like crayons or markers I could borrow?" And she's like, "Sure." So she gives me that, and I'm drawing pictures for the oldest aunt, and I draw a picture of a bird, and I show it to her and say, "Hey, look, it's a bird," and she doesn't say anything. She's kind of smiling at me. And then I go, okay, I'm thinking, oh, what can I do now? So then I draw a picture of a butterfly because my grandma loves when I draw pictures of butterflies 'cause it's very colorful and whatever. So I show the old lady and I go, look, it's a butterfly. And once again, she's just kind of smiling at me and nodding along. And then when I say it this time, the aunt who was cleaning her room, Aunt Erica, pops her head out there and she's like, what's that? And I was like, oh, no, I just drew a picture. Oh, wow, how pretty. And I was like, oh, thanks. And then she goes back in her room. And so then I'm talking to the oldest aunt again and I go, what's your favorite animal? I'll draw it for you. Because for some reason, I just really wanted, I don't know, I wanted her to say something. She wasn't really talking to me. She was just like watching me. Like, what's your favorite animal? I'll draw it for you. And she doesn't say anything. And so then I say, do you speak English? They told me everyone on the island would speak English. And then the other aunt who was cleaning her room, once again, pops her head and she goes, what's that? And I was like, oh, no, nothing. And she goes, who are you talking to? And I go, I'm talking to her. And I point at the chair and there's no one there. The old aunt is just gone. And the house is not that big. So I'm like, wait a minute. And I go, where'd she go? And so I stand up and I go looking through the house. And then in the other room, my brother and my cousin are there. They're playing like Uno cards. And I was like, hey, where'd that one aunt go? And they go, who? Aunt Jane? I go, no, Aunt Jane went to work. And they go, Aunt Erica? I go, no, Aunt Erica's right here behind me, the other aunt. And they go, what other aunt? And I tell my brother, hey, remember when we came into the house, there were 3 aunts here? And he goes, no, there were 2. And I said, there was an old lady sitting here in this chair. And so by this time, the Aunt Erica who was there, she comes out from the room because she's with me the whole time at that point. She's like, what's going on? And then she goes, can you see ghosts? And then I was like, I don't know. It looked like a normal person. And then I go, well, who was she? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not from here. You should know she's from the old lady who's like was sitting here. So they busted out some photo albums, and they're asking me to like look through and see like can you like find the woman who you saw? And so there's like one lady. I was like, oh, maybe her. And it's a huge family. My grandma's like one of 9 siblings, and most of them still live on Guam. So I'm looking through, and then I was like, her. It was definitely her, and it was of course an aunt who had passed away many years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and she wasn't like directly related to me or anything. I don't know why I saw her or why no one else did, or like why she appeared to me, and she didn't say anything to me. But yeah, that was a trip.
Yeah, I'd say so. Wow.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Is that your only paranormal experience, you say? The only time you've ever encountered anything?
oh no. Actually, whatchamacallit? I do have another story for you, but it didn't happen to me. It happened to my aunt. Is that okay? Would you like to hear that?
Yeah.
I think you'll want to hear this one. Check this out.
Okay.
So this is like in the 1960s in California. Because it's the house that my grandma still lives in to this day. It's a 2-story house, and like there's 3 bedrooms in the second story, and then whatever. So I guess when my aunt was a little girl, maybe around 7 years old, everyone remembers this. She's the youngest of the 3 siblings, but my uncle and my dad remember this. My grandma remembers. Everyone talks about this. They remember that there was this period of time where my aunt every night would go downstairs, and my grandpa would usually be up late, and he'd be watching TV. And so she'd come downstairs and she'd say, Daddy, I see faces in the window. And he'd say, no, honey, like there's no faces. Your house is on, that your room's on the second story. And she goes, I know, but there's like faces in the window. So she would always, it got to the point where it just became so regular that she would just come downstairs and wouldn't even say anything. And she would just sleep on the couch. And then when my grandpa went to bed, which was like hours later, like in the wee hours of the morning, he would pick her up and carry her back upstairs and like tuck her in bed. And then he would go back to sleep. Eventually it got bad enough where she switched bedrooms with my dad, and then the problem was solved. But what she said that used to happen was that sometimes it'd be nighttime and she would hear this like humming noise, like a and she would know that it would be there, and it would be these beings. And she had these weird curtains where it was like there's a small bit of curtain across the top, then there's like a blank space, and then there's bigger, like more curtains, like the whole bottom half is like curtains, sort of. You know what I'm talking about? But anyways, so because in that blank space where there was like just glass, she said that she would see faces. It would be either one or two faces looking at her through that blank space, and it would be, you know, scary. Anyhow, years later, so like that was when they were kids. Then now they're adults, and my dad is at work, and he and some guys are talking about paranormal stuff like ghosts and aliens and Bigfoot and blah blah blah. And one of his coworkers shares that he and his brother used to be visited by aliens. They were never abducted, but that aliens used to visit them in their bedroom. And he said that it was scary. They shared a bedroom, and that they would hear this noise, and then on the other side of the window there would be aliens, and they were standing on like a disc. He said it was like a small floating disc. They'd be standing on that, but they'd be like outside of the second story window. And so my dad shared like, oh my god, my little sister used to complain about that, and we were also on the second floor. So the coworker drew a picture of like what the things used to look like, and it's what you would imagine like a gray alien looks like, what we all know, like that typical looking alien with the big head, big eyes, small nostrils, blah blah blah. So my dad takes that home to show his mom, my grandma, and my aunt was there, and she sees the photo. She's like, "Where did you? Oh my god, where did you get this picture from?" And she's like, "That's what I used to see in the window. That's what she used to see when she was a little kid. The faces in the window." And what's crazy is that the coworker, his family live in the same city that my grandma lives in, and it's like, you know, like they're building a bunch of houses, and there's like different models available, like 3 or 4 different types of model home available, but like those same 3 or 4 houses like are throughout the neighborhood. It's one of those situations, and the coworker's house is the same house that my grandma has, the same model, and the bedroom that he used to share with his brother was the bedroom above the garage. That's when they used to get visited by the whatever things. And that was the bedroom that my aunt used to get visited when she lived in the bedroom above the garage. Once she switched the bedroom, she was fine. She never got like visited again. So that to me is like creepy, because it's like, ew, because they say that aliens do like experiments on us, and I feel like that's an experiment thing where like if they were visiting like a neighborhood, it's like, oh, let's only look at the humans in this particular room to get the sample, blah, blah, blah. Like this, you know, observations like that creepy out. Like, ew, why? That's
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is really spooky. Holy cow.
yeah. So I shared that because you said that you like wanted to hear UFO alien stories, and so like, yeah, it didn't happen to me, but like that's according to my aunt, and everyone swears, yeah, I do remember that. Like everyone remembers her talking about the faces in the window. They used to, my dad and my uncle used to tease her about it. Like, oh, the faces in the window, blah blah blah. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty terrifying. Holy cow.
Right. And that was like back in the 60s. So it's like not like, it was like, you know, it was before, like now we all would know, be like, oh yeah, right, you probably saw it on TV or something. But it's like, I don't know if that was like really how popular that was in the 60s.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean there was a little bit of, you know, an extraterrestrial trend in the 50s and 60s, but there were also a lot of like really authentic sounding sightings as well all over the country, like just oodles of them. So and of course I'm biased. I love alien stories, so I always believe alien stories no matter what.
Yeah, because that area right now is like very suburban, but like back then it was still very developing. They said that like it had to be built. They had to wait for the houses to all be built. So
Yeah.
that's also interesting that like I can imagine aliens being like, oh look, these new human civilizations. Let's see what's going on. You know?
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing these. These are good stories. Very, very
Absolutely.
good. Very spooky.
Yeah, I have more, and I will definitely come back in the future to share them. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. My little button ain't working. Um, very cool. Wow. Anybody else got some alien stories that you want to share? Feel free to hop in the guest box. Come up and tell a spooky story. Aliens, ghosts, Loch Ness monster, Mothman, perhaps. Someday we'll get a Mothman story in here. Um, Gettysburg. Yeah, everybody talks about Gettysburg, and I was supposed to do a convention there one time, and I was really excited about it, but I think they ended up canceling or something. Something happened to it that was like out of my control. I didn't get to go to it, but that would have been the only time I would have got to go to Gettysburg. Yeah, yeah, that the whole whole thing with secret societies is like, eh. I used to research that stuff a really long time ago, and it's all just a bunch of trying to think of like I'm so out of practice of being on TikTok. I can't remember words that I should and shouldn't say. Hogwash. We'll just say hogwash. Like the Skull and Bones Society and stuff like that, and Miami Mall incident. No, that was CGI. Because I saw somebody posted a video. Who was it? Was it Twilight Emporium? I feel like it was him, and he was like, "Yeah, I think it was him," because he said something like, see, there was nothing there that it was obviously CGI. I didn't pay much attention to that because everybody's trying to hoax things to go viral these days. So you can't pay a whole lot of attention to those really wild, over the top stories. Hello there. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? I was just scrolling by and I ended up over here.
Yeah, hang on. I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Let me turn my volume up.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty versed in all these spiritual topics, so I just figure I jump into the pool and let
Do
whatever
you have
flow
a
flow.
paranormal story, though?
Oh, well, I do kind of believe that my entire life is a paranormal story. I do believe that we live in a dream, like when the reality around us condenses into reality, everything that we think, everything that we dream, like all these ghosts and paranormal entities, like all gets downloaded into the reality around us, and that is why we get to see some of it every now and then.
So kind of like it's one big simulation kind of thing, or
Well, let's say that you think of a white elephant, okay? So the minute that you thought of that white elephant is already created, okay? It's like let's
yeah.
say it's a paranormal manifestation that you're making. So what the universe does is it organizes that thought, that manifestation that you created, and it organizes it. So in the way in when that white elephant is traveling to wherever it's going to be, maybe someone gets to see it. So
Yeah, so
that
kind of like thought forms. That's usually what people call that type of theory. I guess you could say it's like a thought form. And I kind of lean toward that because I think the paranormal is something, but I don't know what it is. So projections from our own mind, I think, makes a lot of sense to me personally.
yeah.
Um, do you have like a paranormal experience that you wanted to share?
Um. Oh, this is not a UFO platform, isn't it?
We do paranormal anything. So like
Well,
UFOs,
I
unexplained
I
stories,
do I do
ghosts.
I do have plenty of paranormal encounters. but I don't encounter them visually. Okay, let's say that there are certain people like the mediums, like the tarot readers, like they're connected with certain realms. So let's say you think of that white elephant, and the 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 person catches it. Like let's say that a medium catches that thought of you, and it tells you, "Hey, white elephant." So I have encounters with plenty of people who is connected to those realms, and I am able to like these spirits like to communicate with me a lot. You know, the more that you ignore something, the more that it comes across. And I have encountered like pretty scary ones and pretty good ones too. And to me, it's almost like a daily thing. But yeah, some of them are very dangerous. Like I can be anywhere, and all of a sudden, like someone around me just wants to attack me. Like they just tell me things that are scary that I have in my mind, and just to scare me. Like someone, I guess it's that person gets possessed when they're like close to me in a way. And so basically, like paranormal experiences, but like in a more realistic way. You know, so
Yeah.
I encounter plenty of
Uh,
breakthrough people.
so we usually just do like stories. Like if you have like one encounter with like a UFO or a Bigfoot or whatever, a ghost, people
Okay,
usually
okay,
just come up and
okay. I'm
just
gonna go.
tell like one individual
I'm gonna go, but
story.
I'm gonna leave you with this one, okay? So usually the stories are the way that we try to explain this to someone. Okay, what happens to me? So let's say I wanted to. Let's say someone walked by me, and I could tell that it was the devil in death. You know. So when this person just passed by me and talked to me and transported me mentally into like this scary scenario, it's very hard for me to put into words that I have encountered the devil in death. And so people make these stories to explain it better because it's too hard to articulate what is.
I think we lost him. I swear I didn't do it. Okay, I don't know. I can't hear you anymore. You've vanished. But okay, so paranormal stories. I mean, we could talk theory and stuff, but it's probably not gonna go very far because nobody really knows anything about the paranormal. So yes, you did. No, I didn't, Red Eagle. I actually didn't. I was like trying to take a moment to have a little sip of my coffee and whatnot, and the next thing I knew, like he totally cut out. Sorry about that piece. Yeah, so guest box is open if anybody wants to come up and share a story. um, doesn't even have to be paranormal. It could just be weird. It could just be spooky. Just. But bonus points if it has anything at all to do with Mothman or the Loch Ness Monster. For the people in here who are Kentuckians, has anybody heard of the octopus cryptid? Apparently, we have an octopus cryptid, and I didn't know about this until recently. Um, it was like 2 weeks ago. I did an interview for a documentary, and they were asking me about cryptids and stuff in Kentucky. And I can't. Was it the Boonesboro? Maybe. Let me Google it. The Boonesboro Octo. My brain's tired. Yes, that's where it was. Boonesboro octopus. So apparently we have like an octopus cryptid in the state of Kentucky, and I didn't know about that. Dogman stories. Yeah, actually, I get an astounding number of Dogman encounters. But most people contact me through email. Which is another thing. Like, if you have stories and you don't want to come up on the live and tell them, you can always just email me. Um, Nashville. Anything about um I paranormal connections? I don't think I have any right off the top of my head. Let me look. Um, there's so many. Hang on, I'm just looking real quick. Just do a quick search to see if I have anything saved. I don't think I do. I don't think there's not a whole lot out there about that area. No, unfortunately, no spooky stories. I'm sure that there are some. Possibly, like if there's a historical society or something, they could probably point you in the direction of some good ones around that area. Um, the Oklahoma octopus cryptid. Cool. I did not know that there was also email you. Oh wow, you've had NDEs. Yeah, I would like to hear some NDE. The only thing with like NDEs though is there's well, there's a lot. I don't want to get into it right now. But I do like to hear people's experiences. A cryptid, Stephanie, is basically an animal creature that isn't something that we are currently aware of. So, like at one point in time, kangaroos were a cryptid because if you think about it, if you didn't really know, like if you didn't have research or pictures or videos or whatever of kangaroos, if we weren't aware of them right now, they sound like a pretty crazy animal, like a big rabbit dog thing that walks on its hind legs and has an enormous tail. Like it sounds crazy. So it's basically just an animal that hasn't been scientifically discovered yet. Um, yeah, so and yeah, a cryptid does also at this point in time it includes things like Bigfoot, Dogman. Yeah, so that's true, but I think a lot of people when they hear cryptid, they think like, crazy stuff, but cryptozoology is actually a thing. It's not just a paranormal pseudoscience thing. Um, the Bluegrass Depot. Madison County, to my knowledge, has a Bigfoot presence, but I don't know about anything else there. Shadow Man? Oh, you didn't by any chance work at the Moundsville prison, did you? Because there's a Shadow Man there for sure. Sightings around the pinnacles. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, that's kind of like a perfect area, honestly, for Bigfoot. Yeah, I think there's definitely. I used to live out in the middle of nowhere at one point in time in Madison County, and there was something in the forest out there. Um, some type of big, weird animal. A lake serpent. I like um, I like aquatic cryptids. I think that they are, I don't know, they're exciting in a way that Bigfoot isn't. Giant owls. I've heard a lot of reports of thunderbirds. I don't know if that's, any relevance at all, basically, to giant owls. Maybe it could be a thunderbird. This is what they call the animal that is half dog / walks on two legs. Yeah, red eagle. That's um, basically a dog man, according to the legends. Thunderbird is a turkey. Actually, no, a thunderbird is I think that's a native name given to a probably now extinct type of bird. I can't remember the lore behind the thunderbird thing. I wasn't even familiar with it. What brought it up to me was like I had a friend in Alaska years ago who she was not the type of person to like have any interest at all in the paranormal, but she one time told me that there was a giant bird up there, and she kind of told me her encounter with it and whatnot. And so I started looking into it, and I don't remember all the details of the lore, but it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of thunderbird sightings, alleged sightings. I think flesh and blood cryptid creatures always is going to make more sense than like so-called spiritual creatures because like that one guest was talking about, I don't know where he was going with that, but thought forms are a thing in the paranormal. That is a pretty common concept in the paranormal, and I think it makes a lot of sense. It makes more sense to me than a lot of other theories about the paranormal. Yeah. Um, let's see. Well, I have a cat just casually crawling onto the back of my chair here. Hello, Smushy. Make yourself comfortable. Um, so, okay. I wish I could show you my screen, but I can't, unfortunately. Thunderbirds are basically, I think they're like prehistoric birds of some kind. If they exist. Again, we don't really know for sure what they could possibly be. But allegedly, they have like was it like a 20-foot wingspan? Something crazy like that. Um, Apparently, they've also been sighted in Pennsylvania. The legend of the Thunderbird reaches back hundreds of years as part of the mythology of, Native American tribes of the Pacific Northwest and the Great Lakes region. It might have remained strictly a part of those cultures had it not. So it's one of those things, kind of like the Wendigo and stuff like that, where it's been sort of passed around, like it belonged to like these tribes and stuff. It was part of their lore, and then it was kind of taken. Sorry, I don't. You guys can't see this cat. There is a cat on my back. He's driving me nuts. He's just crawling right up my back. Like, get out of my chair, mommy. He's wanting his chair so I can go to sleep. Mothman is gobbledygook. I struggle with the Mothman, but I don't know. Lots of people say they've seen him. I just like to say Mothman, and I like the look. I like the aesthetic of the Mothman, you know? He's kind of funny, but he's kind of spooky. Kind of somewhere in between. I've tried connecting with all sorts of frequencies, and I have seen all sorts of paranormal things, but still haven't seen a Mothman, Unfortunately for me, no sea monsters either. But then again, I don't go around large bodies of water. I used to live close to the ocean a couple of times in the past. I lived, pretty much on the beach. I feel like the ocean is not the place that you see sea monsters, though, incidentally. Like the creepy aquatic cryptids, they're always in lochs and lakes and like Kentucky Lake. That place is full of radioactive mutated creatures. Or so I've heard. Everybody says that there's fish in there the size of Volkswagens. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I want to see them either, but sometimes it's inevitable. Yeah, that Mothman movie's really old. I feel like that came out in the 90s or like early 90s. I think the ocean's just wild and crazy in general, and too much so for creatures. I think, if you go out into the ocean, like the Mariana Trench, for example, I feel like you have better odds of seeing monsters out there, Because obviously it's a trench. And we all know there's a Cthulhu in there. So, I mean, obviously, it's like a scientific fact. At least I hope there is. Hello, hello? Yeah, I've had a lot of encounters throughout my lifetime too, and I still don't know what to make of it. South Park, I do. I like South Park. Spaceships. Yeah, it's definitely feasible because there's this whole thing. I'm not great at like repeating things that I don't fully comprehend, but basically the creatures that live in the trench are creatures who likely don't have like a growth inhibitor gene or genetic something or another. I don't know the right terminology for it. So essentially, whatever's down there could keep growing a fish in a fishbowl, right? It gets as big as this fishbowl. So it's kind of the same thing with the trench. It could just keep getting as big as the environment allows for it. So that's pretty spooky to think that there could be creatures down there that are the size of the Empire State Building. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, yeah, like there could be a 400-pound goldfish. He'd be big and scary, but he'd be a harmless little fella, I guess. I don't know. Once a goldfish gets that big, is it really harmless? I have no idea. Yeah, our cave systems in Kentucky are pretty crazy and scary and pretty impressive. Kentucky is, what is it, like the second worst state for sinkholes, right behind Florida. And I swear it's because of all the caves and stuff. There's so much in the caves, and there's so many caves. And probably if we knew the extent of how much caveage we have beneath us, we would be completely just bewildered by the fact that it is so cave like. Maybe that's why Kentucky's such a creepy place. It's like all the cave systems. Uh, Guest box is open. If anybody wants to come up, tell a spooky story. It's not as slow tonight as I thought it would be. I kind of figured where I had been on here for a while that it would be totally dead, but this it's not too bad. I think what is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Yeah. The beginning of the week is usually when it's the busiest for these types of streams. I'll Google that. Do I have a podcast? No, I don't do a podcast. No, I don't know. I really don't ever know what to say when people bring up skinwalkers because I know that it's like a sacred um, feature of a lot of tribal things. So I tend to not talk about them here because I don't know. I mean, I talk about Skinwalker Ranch from time to time, but beyond that, I don't really ever talk about skinwalkers. What are you talking about? Pharmaceutical companies? What does that have to do with the paranormal? What are you talking about? uh, what is going on? There's like an eyeball. Can I click that? Hang on. Yes. That's weird. It's blocking words. Why is TikTok blocking words? So weird. I don't know. All right, guys. I'll tell you what. I think we might try it again another night. I'm gonna try to bring back the live streams at least a time or two a week. We'll see. The last time I tried to have a schedule, I lost the ability to use my banners, and I can't do these streams without the banners. So, if you guys like this stream, be sure to follow me and turn on post notifications so that you know when I go live. I will be live again probably soon. I don't know about tomorrow. I'll try to go live tomorrow, but no promises. Wait, hang on. What is it? Yeah, so yeah, definitely follow. Go check out the video. I posted a new video this evening. It's kind of an interesting story. Semi paranormal, but not really. Uh, Still pretty freaky. Anyway, thank you guys for coming. Thank you for all the hearts and stuff. Really appreciate it. And you all have a good night, and I will see you all later.